Welcome back. Brazilians have cut back their spending ahead of Carnival in the midst of a deepening recession. Brazil's gross domestic product is expected to contract sharply for a second straight year in the worst such sequence since at least 1901.
We have corruption, we have crime, we have poverty, but we have the beach, we have Carnival. Such sentiments are frequently heard throughout Rio de Janeiro, said with a smile to mask the city's notorious woes. But this year, that escapist optimism is being put to the test. The Carnival is fast approaching, yet the deepening recession, 10% inflation, and rising unemployment combine to create a reality that is hard to escape from. Whilst Brazilians are not going to spend the national holidays, much awaited throughout the year wallowing at home, a certain amount of improvisation is on the cards. The Sahara market in the center of the city, usually bustling in the raging heat of this time of the year, has seen a marked fall in sales. Further to the financial crisis affecting the shops here in the center, there are two other negative factors, which include violence, frequent robberies in the region, and the works going on in the center of the city. Although they are going to improve mobility, it affects people coming here because they know they are going to get stuck in traffic, that there are going to be various obstacles for them to get here. The fact that the Carnival falls so early this year has also limited sales, as consumers are still recovering from the expenses of the holiday season, with many families focused on the cost of their children returning to school. One option for revelers saving their pennies is to make their own costumes rather than splash out on complete packages sold in the shops.
I started looking at different options to see if it would be more economical to buy a costume ready-made or to buy the material and put one together myself. So far, it seems it would be better to buy the fabric and make my own, and that way it is more personal. It will have my own touch.
A nearly one-third decline in the value of Brazil's real against the dollar last year has meant that imported Carnival materials are scarce compared to previous years. On the flip side, however, it has led to an increase in sales for some, as wealthier Brazilians being their usual February getaway, whilst tourists follow the exchange rate to Rio. People are not traveling abroad because of the strength of the dollar, which means that more people are staying in Rio, where there are lots of street parties and lots of tourists coming. It seems this is the anomaly, where factory owners are cutting staff due to diminishing demand.
We are making 30% less than we were last year, which was not a great year in itself, as the crisis was already underway. But this year is much worse. 30% is a lot for us. Some shops, clients of ours, for a long time have been forced to close. Brazil is in a complicated situation.
It is the worst year for business, she says, since arriving in Brazil from Spain in 1994. For art professor at the Rio de Janeiro State University, Felipe Ferreira, the crisis presents an opportunity for the Carnival to edge back in time. The possible outcome of this crisis is that the samba schools rethink their model to go back in time to the end of the 70s and take up some elements which have been left out of frame: spontaneity, joy, leaving the school's members a little freer, the school a little smaller. Perhaps the crisis can help us bring together two models which have separated since then. The main schools have been forced to scale back a certain extent, with the corruption-marred state oil company Petrobras cutting 1 million reais of funding for each. But in true Brazilian fashion, they are sure to find a way to plump up the show in time for the Carnival's February 5th whistle.
And we end with Argentina, where the economy will edge higher this year as the new government lifts interventionist controls, later fueling growth of about 4.5% annually between 2017 and 2019. And that's according to the country's finance minister. Now, the government has moved fast to unravel a complex web of controls imposed on Latin America's third largest economy by the previous administration, aiming to boost exports and investment.
With our numbers, we calculate an estimated economic growth of between 0.5% and 1% this year in 2016, but above all with much stronger growth in the second half of the year. Later, as a working hypothesis, for the 3 following years, our estimate is 4.5%. Understand that this is a conservative estimate. In the coming days, the central bank is going to announce the loan from international banks to Argentina's central bank in exchange for bonds from the central bank, and this, I think, is going to be between $4 and $6 billion. And as such, we're going to be relaxed in terms of being above the rule.
And that's it on the program. Thank you for watching. Have a good weekend.